Hello Marvel fans, welcome to my channel, and today's video is all about the amazing Spider-Man, or as Toby wanted it, the human spider. Spider-Man has had one of the greatest comic book careers ever by doing whatever a spider can. Superheroes don't get much more entertaining than this web-slinger, who has some of the greatest stories, the most amazing powers, and the most heinous foes in the world. While Spider-Man is one of the world's most popular superheroes, there's still a lot about him that many people don't know, especially since the same adversaries, love interests, and storylines are used in each movie reboot. Let us see what we can learn. But before we continue, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification icon to remind you of my videos. And now everyone, let's maximum spider, or what I mean is let's rock. Let's start it off with number 10. Stan Lee created the character by watching a fly. Everyone's favorite wisecracking neighborhood webhead was once just a fly on the wall. After making a name for himself with the Fantastic Four in 1961, Stan Lee spent the next year brainstorming ideas for the next great thing. Then a fly fluttered in. Yes, Marvel fans, we all have to thank that fly. After seeing the winged insect creep up a wall at Marvel's offices, the comics veteran knew exactly what the firm required at the time. A person who could stick to vertical surfaces. So he created the next incredible superhero, Stick-to-Wall Man. Even though a name like that is pure gold, Lee tried out a few others like Insect Man, Fly Man, and Mosquito Man, until he finally hit the bug on the head with the most dramatic of all, Spider-Man. He then enlisted artist Steve Ditko to whip up the costume design and presented the awesome idea for an awkward teenage hero with all the powers of a spider to Marvel head Martin Goodman, who, as expected, replied, "That's the worst idea I've ever heard." And the rest, as they say, is history. Number 9. Peter had a long list of women? Who is he? James Bond? Spider-Man is not the nerd he has been portrayed to be. He may have begun out as a socially awkward wallflower, but after getting his powers, Peter Parker transformed into a high school Casanova, punching up bullies before he'd even reached his 8th comic. Then came college, and from then on, the ladies were all over him. His longest on-and-off-again romance was with the red-headed Mary Jane Watson, who was his wife for a while when Spidey sold their marriage to the devil. Before MJ, there was Peter's high school girlfriend Liz Allen, Daily Bugle secretary Betty Brant, and of course, the tragic Gwen Stacy. Who can forget Spidey unleashing his inner Batman through casual hookups with Felicia Hardy, dubbed the Black Cat? Beyond these constants, there were two co-eds at his alma mater, Deborah Whitman and Marcy Kane. Which the latter is known to be an alien. Oh, Peter, your womanizing is far beyond this world. Sissy Ironwood, his roommate's sister, Gwen Stacy's cousin, Carly Cooper, Kitty Pryde, and even Captain Marvel are a few others that have been tangled up in his webs. The list goes on. Point is, Spider-Man may have dealt with a lot over the years, but he's never had trouble finding comfort in the arms of beautiful, anatomically absurd women. Though none will ever come close to trumping the one true love of his life, Aunt May. In number 8, his parents were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Anyone who only knows Spider-Man for his emo swing dancing and other on-screen antics is unlikely to be familiar with Peter Parker's parents. Alternatively, the Andrew Garfield films may have led you to believe they were scientists. The narrative of an orphaned child fostered by his Aunt May and Uncle Ben, whose tragic demise inspired a young Pete to become a superhero, has been told many times. However, the comic's depiction of what happened to his parents is more mysterious, as if it were top secret or something. Richard and Mary Parker aren't only using MacGuffins to get their youngster into red and blue tights. It was revealed in the late 1960s that Spider-Man's parents were actually government agents working for S.H.I.E.L.D. Among the numerous world-saving missions they went on together, they once saved the life of a shirtless Wolverine. Richard and Mary died shortly after giving birth to Peter in a contrived plane crash engineered by the Red Skull. Aside from a few highly confusing and ridiculous subplots, including one in which they appear alive only to reveal themselves to be cyborgs, that is pretty much all we know about this secret couple. Regardless of this last aspect, the whole Spider-Man's parents were S.H.I.E.L.D. spies thing seemed tailor-made to make its way into the MCU at some time. Well, this what I call retcon, baby. Number 7. 2 radioactive bites. Who would have thought that the radioactive spider that gave Peter Parker his abilities would never bite another person again? This is what the viewers were told in the movies, but something else happened immediately following Peter's tragic bite. Just minutes after biting Parker, this radioactive spider goes on to bite Cindy Moon. Yes, the same girl who becomes Silk in the future. Thankfully, she didn't go through the trouble alone, as she was trained by Ezekiel Sims. Okay, let's move on to number 6. Peter had a bizarre transformation. The radioactive spider bite didn't only give Peter some defining traits, but it also gave him the power to convert into an outright spider. Maybe the original spider bite gave him some mutations that manifested after a while, and that in the end allowed him to reach the top of his development. The transformation got so bad that Peter couldn't control the mutations, and as a result, he had to seek help from the X-Men. That's a close one for Peter. Well, getting extra hands is not handy at all? Okay, on to the next at number 5. Rejecting Mary Jane. In the Spider-Man films, Mary Jane is portrayed as a godsend for Peter Parker. He cannot exist without crushing on her. In reality, or in the comics, the opposite occurred. Mary Jane was the girl Aunt May wanted Peter to be with. Spider-Man, on the other hand, did not appreciate the idea. He used to decline going out with her. However, they eventually fell in love with each other and married happily. So, Marvel fans, do you think Peter hit the jackpot with MJ? Leave your comments below and let's go to number 4. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Charlie Sheen were almost Spider-Man. After seeing Little Underoos steal the show in Civil War, Tom Holland's casting seemed to be a perfect fit. However, before he was cast, Asa Butterfield, Nat Wolff, and Chandler Riggs of The Walking Dead were also in contention for the role. Far more amazing, however, are some of the other performers who have expressed interest in playing Spider-Man over the years. When James Cameron moved on from his film, Sony still intended to use the script and cast Leonardo DiCaprio. He passed away, and the role eventually went to his close buddy Tobey Maguire, but not before Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jude Law were almost there. In the 1990s, Charlie Sheen made a push that took him one yes away from suiting up, he claims. When it came time to revive the series in 2012, Josh Hutcherson, Michael Cera, Robert Pattinson, and pretty much every other young male actor in Hollywood auditioned before being cast as Garfield. Of all these misses, Jake Gyllenhaal came the closest after Maguire suffered a back injury in between Raimi's first and second films. Jake even went so far as to start training for the role, but after Maguire recovered in time, he was put out to pasture. Jake would have been a great Peter Parker, but he's a great Spider-Man villain for me. Enter the master illusionist, Mysterio. Let's go in number 3. Michael Jackson tried to buy Marvel so he could be Spider-Man. Oh, that's bad, Mike, and you know it. One of the more fantastic subplots from Marvel's financial troubles in the 1990s was when Michael Jackson attempted to save the company by purchasing it. After all, the king of pop was an astute businessman. It wasn't such a ridiculous idea after purchasing the rights to the Beatles collection. Until you realize why he wanted to control Marvel. You see, Michael Jackson was a huge Spider-Man fan and really wanted to play him in the movies. He even approached Stan Lee several times about buying the film rights to the character to no avail. Realizing his chances of ever getting to play the part were slim by traditional means, he decided to just buy the company instead. Because that's what the moonwalk and a high-pitched voice will get you. However, the asking price of $1 billion for the struggling business kept the deal from going through and kept Spider-Jackson from swinging into our lives. Though we think we're good with Tom Holland. Or are we? All right, we're almost done. Next in number 2, I Am Spider-Man. For me, still, one of his worst decisions. One of the biggest moments that changed Peter Parker's life forever featured him unmasking himself to the world. Civil War is regarded as one of the best storylines in Marvel Comics history, and Spider-Man played his part in it. He definitely supported Iron Man, and he once organized a press conference in Washington, D.C. to express his views on the Superhero Registration Act. During the press conference, he removed his mask and revealed that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It had far-reaching repercussions for both his personal and professional lives. All right, before we continue to number 1, let me ask you again to please subscribe to my channel. You may also leave a comment on what would my next video you want me to feature. Thanks, and here we go to number 1. Peter died 3 times. Spider-Man, like all good superheroes worth their weight in web, is dead. A few times, in fact, but never for long. The first occurred during 2005's The Other Story arc, when he was pummeled senseless by the villain Morlun, who once ripped out and ate Spidey's eye. When Morlun attempts to finish the job later, Peter uses all of his power to defeat him but dies as a result of his injuries. No worries, though. 2 issues later, he emerges from a cocoon, alive and well. In the alternate world of 2011's Ultimate Spider-Man number 160, Peter Parker gets killed by Green Goblin and replaced by Miles Morales. But since you can't keep a good spider down, Pete resurfaced a few years later in a random laboratory before driving off into the sunset with Mary Jane. And, proving that the new millennium has been a particularly deadly time for Spidey, 2012's Amazing Spider-Man Dopper 700 features him dying in battle with Doc Ock, only for the villain to possess the web-slinger's body and take over the mantle for over a year in an attempt to prove his superiority as Spider-Man. It did not work. Most fans were not happy, and Marvel brought Peter back to life in a brand new series as if nothing had occurred. There have been many Spider-Mans over the history of Marvel Comics, but one name stands out more among fans than the rest. Peter Parker is the Spider-Man mascot, and he has gone through some insane stuff in the Marvel Universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as a few other films, have provided viewers with a wealth of content from which to judge Spider-Man. Whether it's his origin tale or the renowned supervillains he's faced, practically everyone in the world is familiar with him. However, the comics show a different side of Peter Parker. And there you have it, Marvel fans, 10 facts about our friendly neighborhood hero, Spider-Man. If you enjoy watching this video, please give it a like, and don't forget to leave a comment below. Thanks, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.